Welcome, and Collins here for the Makers Movement. Today we'll be creating 2 thankful cards. Let's go over some of the products I used to create these cards. The Makers Movement new die, which is called Thankful, and it has 3 pieces. We have a nice bold thankful and a nice script for you. I like when we have dies that are like this, that we have a nice bold font and then a nice scripted font to make perfect sentiments. We'll also be using the double-sided adhesive foam. These, we get 4 sheets of these, and they're nice and thick, perfect for shakers, and they are exactly nice and sticky on both sides. It's a nice firm foam adhesive. Okay, all right, and then we'll also be using the Makers Movement clear acetate sheets. I know they look blue here, but they have a protective coating so they avoid scratching. You just have to peel it off. Here I already peeled off one side, and I'm going to peel off the other side, and you can see they're nice and clear. We'll also be using the new shaker sprinkles, and we're using the constellation. I'm only going to pull out a few items from here. The stars, a few thin sprinkles, and the little orangey yellow circles. And I have them here in this little dish along with some other sequins. Right, let me move some of the stuff to the side so we can continue going over what we're doing. I went ahead and pre-die cut my thankful on this panel, which came from a kit that I've had forever. And I also die cut the 4 and the U. The 4 I did in like a yellow ochre color, and the U I did it in a nice soft pumpkin-y red color. Okay, now this panel here, like I said, came from a different kit, and I had those leaves pre-cut in them. I have these small little squares that I'm going to place behind our leaves, and this pattern paper that looks like sweater or knit, and that will be going behind the thankful. So I'm going to set all my little pattern papers to the side, and we're going to be using a pre-cut, pre-scored card that is A2, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm using it on the top folding, landscape style. I'm also going to bring in these Love from Lizi peel-offs and gold glitter. I'm just going to use them to accent our card, placing one on the top and the bottom of our shaker panel. So for card number 2, we're going to use, again, a pre-folded card, same way, and the same pattern paper, but we're using all the leftovers from card 1. So I'll have the thankful there, the thankful letters, and the leaves. So let's get started with card 1. We're going to, let me move my sequins over to the side so I don't spill them. Alright, so we're going to be placing some double-sided adhesive on the back of this panel. I want to start placing some in the middle, and then I'm going to go all around the edges. This is some Imagine Crafts Terra tape. It's a nice, strong tape. So this will hold our acetate down nice and firm so nothing comes out of our shaker. It doesn't peel away. Now, if you have any adhesive hanging off, just trim it off. That's what I did with the top portion here, because it's a thinner area. So all I did was place the adhesive, which is a little bit wider, and I used my scissors and trimmed it off. But that didn't throw out that bottom, that little extra piece, because I placed it on the bottom, which is also a nice thin area. So now that I have all of our adhesive on, I'm going to use this little poke it tool to remove the adhesive backing. These tools, well, this tool and others, are from Makers Movement, and they're perfect to release your dies, your paper from your die. You'll find them in the tools section on their website, but I'll have it listed down below. I'll link it for you. Okay, now that I have my card panel sticking to my fingers, I'm going to go ahead and put our acetate down. I'm putting the clear side down leaving the blue side up. And now I'll peel away the blue. I did this so that my fingers wouldn't be all over the acetate while pressing it down. So now we need to create our shaker forms so that nothing falls out. So I'm going to take the double-sided adhesive and cut strips with my scissors. You can use your trimmer if you would like, but I had my scissors handy, so I would grab those. Put a nice thicker piece in the center, and I'm going to put all around the perimeter and in between the leaves, because I want each of the leaves, since they're going to have a different color behind them, I just want to separate those. And I put a little too this way, a little over, so my foam didn't fit there, so I had to trim off a little piece. And I just leave it on there and then cut off the little edges. Those little pieces will fit perfectly between our leaves. Now I just need a little bit on the bottom and on the top. Cut off another thin strip. And these I'm cutting even thinner, because I know the top and the bottom are very narrow, and I don't want our foam adhesive to show. Trimming any extra off. And you can see it's nice and strong foam adhesive. So your shaker cards will not be falling apart if you use this foam adhesive. Alright, so now I'm just going to fill in our little shaker parts. So I'll be putting some bits on the top where the thankful is, and then each of the leaves. Excuse me. And I just sprinkle them around, making sure everybody's got enough in there. And they're very staticky. If you do have a lot of problem with sequins or anything sticking to you, you can use an embossing tool and just sprinkle. Or if you don't have one of those, you can use a little talcum powder or cornstarch. Just sprinkle it in there and sprinkle it on your fingers, and they won't be so sticky. So I'm gently removing the backing from the foam adhesive here. I don't want my sequins and my little sprinkles here to pop up, so I'm going really slow, because if they pop up, they stick to the foam and it's a whole mess. So I'm going to go ahead and use that pattern paper on the top portion and the small little cardstock squares on the bottom. And that will hold our sequins in. And you'll see once I flip it over, making sure I have a nice good contact. Pressing it down, and we'll flip it over, and our shaker is working. So now we'll move in our card base and add a little liquid glue. I'm going to use some arc glitter glue here to put down our shaker panel. And I'm going to make sure that I have enough on the top and the bottom. So I'm going to center this panel. Pressing it down, removing the glue from my hand, making sure it's all nice and firm, shaking it, making sure it works. Now it's time to add our For You. These are really thin, and I start out just holding them, putting little dots with my arc glitter glue. Then I realized, yep, I need my tweezers. So I grabbed them, put some little dots, and press down and press those into place. And I wanted the F and the Y to fall between the leaves. So here I'm adding I'm out of focus. I'm out of screen. But I'm adding the peel-offs to the top and the bottom. These are nice long strips, and I just cut off the extra and just save it right on the same sheet. So I'm going to place one on the top, press it in place, and just trim off the extra. And there you go. Our first card is complete. Here I'm showing you the little shaker bits. See those little orange pieces and the little stars? That's the shakers that came from the constellation pack. Here's card 2. Remember, we had all those leftovers, so we're going to use this leftover pattern paper. Again, it's going to be an A2 size card. And I'm going to place this here, giving myself a little frame all around the sides and the bottom. I'm going to add the same peel-offs, the glitter gold on the top and the bottom, but I'm not going all the way across the entire card. I'm going to just go along the side of the pattern paper. So wherever it stops, so does this peel off. Trimming off any excess, and repeat the process on the top. This just gives it a nice finishing touch without having to do a whole lot. Alright, so now I'm going to fiddle with my thankful. I have to find all the letters within all these little pieces. And I start playing around to see if I get it. And I want them to be centered. I know right now they're not, but they will be. And once I get them where I want them, I'll start picking them up to adhere them down. So that's about where I want it. So now I'm going to keep the N and the K there, and I'm going to push all the other letters away. Because I know the N and the K will be in the center, and then I have 3 letters per side. So I get those down, just putting a little bit of the art glitter glue in the back. And if I have any squeeze out like I did here on the N, I just wipe it away with the edge of my tweezers. I have a little bit there on the K. Although art glitter glue dries clear, I just don't like it seeping out. It looks rather messy that way. So I'm going to go ahead and continue gluing my letters down. And yes, I used the bottom of my bottle to push my letters down. Trying to remember to stay as centered as possible. I love how bold these letters are. You could use the word like I did here, thankful alone, or the for you. This die set is wonderful. Okay, so now that we have our letters down, let's work on our leaves. These leaves came from the panel that we used before, and it's textured. So I pulled out 2 inks per leaf. So for this first leaf, this oak leaf, I'm going to use Magic in wheat and gingerbread. So I just brush it on there, and since these leaves are textured, it just picks up on the ink stays on the textured part. Oh geez. Now we're going to the next leaf here, and this one's going to be in Niagara Mist and tea leaves. And now last, our maple leaf is going to be in pink, grapefruit, and persimmon. I didn't want to go with red, although maple leaves turn into that beautiful deep red. But since the background is that deep pumpkin-y color, I wanted a nice lighter color. But I wanted to keep it in that fall kind of feel. Alright, I heat set my leaves so that I didn't get any ink smudging over. I'm going to use the same adhesive, double-sided adhesive foam. I'm just going to cut pieces of it and attach it to the back of my leaves because I want them to be popped up. And just so you know, this adhesive foam can be die cut, especially using the Maker's Movements Versa dies. They cut out beautifully. I mean, it's wonderful. Alright, so I have some more little embellishing to do. I have one of the little clay stars and 2 of the little circle orange stars. The clay stars is in white, and these are from the constellation sprinkles. These are the same ones that I used in our shaker card before. So there you have it. You see all the texture on the leaves, the glitter from the peel-offs, And here are our 2 completed cards using the 1 die set. And our constellation sprinkles. So here they are. I just love the way this came out, giving us a nice fall feel. Let's go over again what we use for these cards. Let me just move them off to the side for a second. Make some space. So we use the clear acetate sheets, the double-sided foam adhesive, and the thankful die, which is 3 pieces. It has the word thankful and the for you. And we created these 2 cards using these same supplies, along with the constellations shaker sprinkles, which I forgot to show you here at the end. But I will have everything linked in the description down below. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you found some inspiration. Be sure to visit the Makers Movement site so you can find all these wonderful products.